All right. Hello and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan. I'm here with Josh Richter and Ethan McShane.
Newest official member.
Yes,
Ethan
the
McShane.
newest official member. We've had him on here as a guest for many weeks over the last 2 months, but we're officially making it official today that he is a part of this podcast. We just invited him on, and he accepted. So you're now a permanent member.
Yeah, there's no going back.
Yeah, no going back. You can't deny us now.
Right.
But we're here this week talking about the championship game in our league between my dad, Paul Traver, and Ethan.
Yes, sir. Nobody thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought I would be in the championship, but, crap happens. So,
but even if we had played this last week in the playoffs, I would have beaten
me.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, let's start off there. Is
injuries and COVID, man.
Yeah. So let's start with the playoff matchups there. Good old big man Paul Traver went up against my wife Ashley and got the win. 196 to 100. Yeah, that. Yeah,
pretty decisive.
That was
pretty decisive. I mean, Eckler going out was the killer. Yeah, Eckler on the COVID list basically killed that. And I think, obviously that's kind of the national narrative is when it comes to fantasy is just how much was just affected with COVID.
Yeah.
And so that one, and on top of that, G had Tyreek Hill to kind of confirm the L, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and she let me Justin Jackson as well. She didn't even pick up Eckler's backup, and it had been news for days that he's probably.
Yeah, I will tell at least a peek behind the curtain is we had a lot of stuff going on, and then as soon as I saw that Justin Jackson wasn't available, I looked over to her and went, "Uh-oh." and that's where it's like, oh boy, this is going to get interesting. So basically, we were both hoping just a massive spike from Tyreek Hill. It was not meant to be. And then our next one, Ethan going to the championship, smoking Tyler, 180 to 107.
Even with Roethlisberger only scoring 6 points.
Big Ben scored me 6 points. We still won.
Yeah. Justin Jackson, like I said last week, he was a sleeper.
Yeah. Ryan.
I called it. He got 36 points. So
I think
was a solid pickup.
I think the big one for me was Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one that Ethan and I were both talking about. Is like, all right, Jeff Wilson has a shot here because he got the early touchdown. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, literally the first drive, play 4, scores a touchdown. But the entire time leading up to that game, everyone's like, Tennessee run defense, Tennessee run defense, Tennessee run defense. He's not going to score. Yeah. They're not going to run the ball. And then just San Francisco came out swinging.
Here's the thing, no one compares when it comes to your play script, the first 15 plays, no one's better than Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, I agree.
And so that one is as soon as you see the first 3 times as Jeff Wilson, and I'm just look at my chops and be like, oh yeah, we're in a good situation, buddy. And then Jimmy Garoppolo kind of messed it all up from there.
Yeah. Is there an update on Elijah Mitchell? Is he back this week?
He should be playing. I can double check Elijah Mitchell, but I'm pretty sure.
Let me look.
He was a DNP on Thursday. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
It just says he's questionable for Sunday's game against the Texans. Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't play, Jeff Wilson part 2.
Yeah, and against Houston, which is something to be on the lookout for, especially with how we just talked about Justin Jackson.
Right.
Definitely.
So let's see. Yeah, I'm reading questionable.
But back to T. Higgins though. What a time to spike in the semifinal game for T. Higgins to just first boom performance of the entire season.
Yeah.
He's been pretty consistent all year.
But he's been, the last couple of weeks, really, he's just gone off. had some great games, outshined Chase by quite a bit. Chase still
and that was something we should have probably mentioned is the fact that like the Ravens are on like the third string hot dog vendor as their corner at the moment. And like literally like as the resident Ravens fan, I came into that game with absolutely no expectations. I was like, let's see what happens. And within like the first 3 quarters, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, your last 2 remaining corners are out. So literally corners 1 through 8 are out. And I'm like, there's nothing you can do about that. No scheme, no coaching. You can't just there's nothing you can do. And obviously Joe Burrow, Mixon, Higgins, and Chase took advantage of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Could have definitely had a great day.
Yeah.
But one thing to know is he did struggle against Denver and San Francisco. So, and then Kelsey has a good secondary, so he might.
So that was my like fear and why unfortunately Ashley didn't start Burrow. And because it's like, well, Aaron Rodgers has done good. He literally just put up 4 touchdowns. It's like, let's kind of keep the hot hand here. But that one, I will say, we probably should have taken a look at the matchup.
Yeah, right. That's always the thing with fantasy football, though, is the matchup. How important is it?
Yeah. But also matchups can also swing the other way too.
Right.
They could be a really tough matchup, and then all of a sudden they get blown out.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at last week with Gronk, who didn't really do anything. That was a good matchup for him. They had 2 wide receivers injured, and he only puts up 3 points.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's difficult. It's difficult to predict that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You just have to go with statistics, and whatever has worked, just keep trying it. But
go with your gut. Always go with your gut.
That's why I always favor consistency.
Right, which is, and we talked about that with our other league going into that draft. And we had a conversation like, what are you drafting for in the keeper league? And I said, well, I've already got the pieces. I just need people who I know are going to score 20 points every week. Like no matter what happens, no matter what the matchup, I'm going to get 20 to 22 points out of this guy.
Yeah. And
I ended up getting Godwin, Cup, and Fournette.
You need my ideal team: one superstar running back, 1 superstar wide receiver, a decent, consistent wide receiver, and a consistent touches running back too.
Yeah. So that's where I feel like
touches. And then like superstar wide receiver, mediocre wide receiver, but gets consistent points. Ideally, those starting 4, you'll sit them on your team and leave them there until they have a bye week.
Yeah, and that's something I definitely want to take a look at, like because I mean I'll go with in that keeper league, that ESPN league, not the Dynasty League, just a different league that we all 3 are in. My receivers are the best. I have the 2 best receivers in the league, basically. I have Devonte Adams and Tyreek Hill. But I'll be honest with you, running backs have kind of been very interesting ever since McCaffrey went out. And so it's definitely something I see you're shaking your head, obviously, because Team Cooper Kupp over there is doing great. But but the thing I do want to take a look at is when it comes to roster construction, what's more important? Because I feel like more than anything this year of all years was if you don't have 2 solid running backs, you're done for. And that's where, like in the Dynasty League, I mean, I had Dalvin Cook for a bit and then McCaffrey, and then he went down. So who's your next guy? And then for a moment for me, it was Michael Carter till he got hurt. And then Antonio Gibson fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Right.
But there's a lot of these matchups where let's throw it out here. The big reason, besides it being Jonathan Taylor, is your good old big guy Paul Traver. He has Najee Harris as well. He has 2 legitimate running backs.
That was ridiculous. I still cannot believe.
Yeah, I still can't believe we let that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on him being smart.
But if you look at his wide receiving core, he struggled there. That was his weak point.
I would say he had consistently okay.
He did, and Thielen has been above average this year.
Right.
He's
but
generally
even
been
Higgins,
around
I would say, was above average.
There wasn't like a game breaker, and
exactly.
He had Thielen. I think he had Thielen.
Yeah, he had Thielen and Higgins.
His two starters were Thielen and Higgins, and then he has Devonte Smith.
Yeah. And then he has Travis Kelsey. Let's also.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with Kelsey.
But and that's kind of back to my philosophy of saying, okay, this isn't Cooper Kupp, this isn't Devontae Adams, but Thielen and Higgins are going to give me 20 points every week apiece.
Yeah.
So that's 40 right off the bat from two spots.
Yeah. So they haven't been as consistent this year.
Yeah, I mean,
they have. Yeah, they had.
That's fair.
With Jamar Chase being, emerging as a wide receiver one for Cincinnati. T. Higgins kind of took a little bit of a back seat at the beginning of the season.
But then it flipped.
But then, yeah, exactly. But then it flipped in the last, I'd say, a third of the season.
Yeah, from week 12 on.
Yeah, he went from taking kind of a back seat to now, looking like a pretty good wide receiver, too.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think feature of that offense is T. Higgins, though. With Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is still going to be important.
It's going to be a Thielen Diggs situation.
They're
both consistent volume.
Yeah, and the thing is like they will be throwing without a doubt. But I think, if anything, they have two wide receiver ones and then a wide receiver 3 in Tyler Boyd, where he could be like flex break glass if needed. I think that's what it's going to be. But overall, it's something we are definitely going to research in the off season, and just like who are the best teams, how did they build their roster, what are the similarities, the correlations. I would say just from a fantasy owner who has 10 plus people on IR and COVID list on my dynasty league. I think to me, I'm leaning towards it having two solid running backs.
Yeah, I think, Josh, you need to draft people who aren't going to get injured next year. Okay.
Not trade for people that are going to get injured, too.
Yeah, not trade for people that are going to get injured.
Hey, look, here's all I have to say. Like, I still feel like, all right, the Gus Edwards trade, I can say I lost him because Gus Edwards tore his ACL. I feel like
and Tony Pollard.
Yeah, that one's a bad one. But here's the thing, though. Like, based on my projection, I was like, Gus Edwards was about to get 1,500 yards easy.
Yeah.
And so now that does become interesting. We'll see what Tony Pollard becomes because, unfortunately, the Cowboys still have a lot of money tied into Zeke. So that's where things get a little interesting. But we will. As I die over here, we will all check this out. We're going to be doing the research, the details. We're going to be finding all that within our off-season episodes, which we'll announce them sometime.
we'll announce them. Within the next couple of weeks.
But really, I want to get to the big news as of right now, and I think there's really only 3 huge situations we have to talk about. They're with 3 quarterbacks. First off, let's start off with the latest one. Kirk Cousins on the COVID list. He is confirmed out against Green Bay. So if you're in the championship game and have Justin Jefferson.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Really sorry.
So and it looks like Sean Mannion is the starter, and then Kellen Mond will be the backup. Mannion's not too bad. This is where it gets interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because with Jefferson, and then obviously is Thielen confirmed to play, or is he still
confirmed?
Out?
Yeah, he is.
He's confirmed.
So at least you have the receivers there. At least you have the talent to help. But now it's going to be interesting to see how the difference is between Kirk Cousins and Sean Mannion. I think there is a potential to be a drastic difference. I don't remember Sean Mannion having the strongest arm when he was coming out from Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that can be very
he's not a very mobile kid either.
So
honestly, I would love to see Mon to take over.
I agree.
I think it's
I would
time.
love to see that on that field. Yeah, and that's what a lot of Vikings fans are calling for.
What's going to happen first? Mon being the franchise or Minnesota cleaning house?
Minnesota cleaning house.
Man, I have been hoping that they'd clean house, at least in the upper echelon. I think our GM,
I think
our
the
coach
GM
needs
is
to
going.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ziggy Wilf, the owner of the Vikings, just needs to clean house and just get everybody out of there, because we have had 20 years of being mediocre, of being middle of the pack, never reaching late in playoffs except for twice in the last 20 years. And then
the NFC Championship game in 2017.
Yeah, but never being bad enough to where we get good picks. We've always been middle of the pack. So, honestly,
I don't even think it's the fact that I don't even think with Minnesota it's the fact that y'all are not just trying to get high draft picks. Like, I think, especially when you're stuck in mediocrity, a lot of people think, and I think this is partly NBA thinking, where you go, all right, we might as well just tank, get a high draft pick, and get a star. Yeah. Well, the thing is look at what Minnesota has been able to do with some of these later draft picks. Anthony Barr, Justin Jefferson, heck, Thielen was undrafted. I really think it's, personally, from, again, outside looking in, it felt like, hey, there's a team here, but it's just not being used to the full potential.
See, but the problem is we've had a team there for many years, and it's just never panned out because, one, we don't have good leadership, and it's good leadership on the field. A lot of people like Kirk Cousins, but I just don't think that he has the X factor. He's not great under pressure. When he starts getting sacked, when he starts getting, rushed into the pocket, he turns into a panic machine, and he just throws the ball wherever he can. And it's not great. We need somebody in that pocket that's.
They need a gunslinger.
Yeah. I mean, but
honestly, without offense thrived with Favre, back in 2008.
Yeah.
Will history strike twice?
I remember seeing that, and I had never seen the Vikings play like they did. They had AP, they had Favre,
Sidney Rice.
Yeah, they had just
Randy
a tremendous
Moss.
team. No, they didn't have Moss. He was
because Randy Moss at that time was on the Patriots.
Yeah.
Oh, by the time they got far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gosh,
so
they would have won a Super Bowl.
I want to see that. I want to see that same Vikings team again.
I think when it comes to actual football, like, you have to have a quarterback.
Yeah. You have to have a quarterback that wants it.
Yeah. No. So we will see what happens there. But I will say, as far as instant championship impact, you're going to have to not expect much from Jefferson, and we'll see what happens there. But
I think Dalvin will be okay.
And those of you that have Cook,
Dalvin will be okay.
They're going to probably run a lot of RPO and do a lot of screens. They do that a lot whenever Cousins isn't in. So, be expecting a lot of opportunities for Cook, for those of you that are in the championship.
Yeah. So the next one I want to say, just because it does relate to, the next two stories actually relate to both championship teams right now. So let's start with Ethan here. Lamar Jackson was practicing Wednesday, but did not Thursday. I guess the portion available to media. But head coach John Harbaugh has said that there is a shot that he can play. As Ethan here has done so smartly and picked up Tyler Huntley as well, because you have Lamar Jackson as your typical quarterback. So I say with this injury situation, I know no one's giving the Ravens a shot, I think the Ravens have a shot to kind of shock everybody and win this game.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a defensive battle, basically. And the only reason why I say that is simply because what has been the Achilles heel of the Rams ever since McVay has taken over, and it's been bigger D lines messing with that smaller O line. So this is what
I'm going to say about this game. I think Sony Michel is going to have a really hard time, and I think Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford are going to go off.
Honestly, that's how I expected as well. We'll see. Odell, maybe.
I think he'll be involved. He'll probably get a touchdown.
Yeah. To me, it's going to. I think if you have Van Jefferson, start Van Jefferson because I think a shot will be taken down. Down.
I would say if you're desperate for a flex, start Van Jefferson.
Yeah, if you really need it, but that's
with like a Christian Kirk upside, I would say.
Yeah, but overall, I would say even if Lamar plays, I would say temper your expectations. But overall, that's kind of been no one really knows who's starting. I don't know if it's gamesmanship from the Ravens to the Rams, but that has kind of been one of the big key factors. To give an example, in another league, I have Lamar, and when he got hurt, basically tanked my season. So we will see what happens there. And now go to the other side here. It looks like it might be Trey Lance season. Injured thumb from Jimmy Garoppolo, and do we finally get Trey Lance? That's really where the question goes.
I think it's all but guaranteed that Trey's playing. But here's the thing: I don't think Paul is going to put him in, and I think after the game he's going to regret not putting in Trey Lance.
See, that's So that's kind of what I am thinking towards as well. Because that's just, and this kind of goes into our next segment, which is kind of the championship breakdown. So let's just kind of start it at this point. He has Josh Allen at quarterback. Now, I think Cole Beasley's still out. Oh, he may have been activated. I do not know. But
he just activated.
Yeah, just got activated. So if you have Cole Beasley, I would say temper your expectations there. But maybe Isaiah McKenzie could be interesting here.
And if you got Diggs.
But AJ Terrell on Diggs, so we'll see that battle.
Yeah.
I don't expect Allen to struggle, to be honest, but he's projected at 27 points. I don't know if he gets 27. That's just my opinion, though.
And that's not to say I think Josh Allen's going to struggle with the whole he's going to regret putting in Trey Lance. I think Josh Allen is going to do fine, unless it's like what we talked about earlier with Atlanta coming out, how they did against Kansas City last year and just exposing that offense. I don't know if that's going to happen in this game. As a Falcons fan, I would love that to happen, but how likely that is, who knows. But I think Josh Allen is not going to meet his projection.
Yeah.
Is what I'll say.
And then on the other side for you here is obviously Tyler Huntley or Lamar. And I think you'll be okay either way. They're both projected around 20. That's where I would expect both, whoever's playing.
Yeah. But who knows? I might throw in Davis Mills
I swear, if you throw in Davis Mills and that works, that would be the most baller move of championship weekends here. Let's go down the running back here, because I know we talked about Trey Lance potentially starting, and really the big reason why we think Trey Lance could be good. One, it's against Houston, but two, the running ability. We'll see what happens there. You may have to temper expectations with Kittle, with all the receivers, but let's see how much has Trey Lance progressed, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would love to watch that just from a pure fan standpoint. I'm a Falcons fan, so I watched a lot of Trey Lance leading up to the draft. I think he's a great player, and I want him to get a shot in San Francisco.
Yeah. But for those of you that have, Debo or Brandon Ayuk in your lineup,
be careful.
Just know
I'd be worried about Ayuk
You're not dealing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm terrified of Ayuk. Like I do not want to play Ayuk.
Yeah, if you have another flex, take Ayuk out. I would put Van Jefferson if he's available over Ayuk.
I think you're safe with Debo. Devo's a lock every week.
He's going to get 6+ targets. You're going to be okay.
He'll be fine. He may not, make you 30 points, but he'll be consistent.
Watch, this is going to be his 50-point game. He's going to get 6 touchdowns.
He got 48 week 1, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's hit running backs here within the championship format here. So as of right now, we have Naji Harris and Jonathan Taylor versus Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. And this matchup is actually way better than I realize it is. And especially initial reaction, I'm like, oh God, Ethan's gonna get killed here. But Nick Chubb going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't really been the greatest when it comes to run defense recently.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Josh Jacobs has actually quietly been really good.
Yes.
Which, if we're going to look at Josh Jacobs right now,
I was going to mention that earlier.
He is the RB17, so he's an RB2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is honestly surprising.
I mean, it's just consistency. I'm going to preach it this whole entire episode of consistency. He's going to get you 16+ points a week, and that's the difference between winning a matchup and losing a matchup. It honestly,
because then you can adjust your roster to where it's like, okay, I think based on this guy's matchup, he's going to have a huge game, but let me get someone for consistency to keep it close.
Yeah, and see, I thought the reason why I didn't draft him this year was because I thought Kenyon Drake was going to take a lot of his snaps.
Yeah,
but that didn't end up being the deal. So
my thing was I didn't trust Gruden.
Yeah,
that was for me. I just didn't trust Gruden, and then ever since Gruden's gone, he and Hunter Renfrow have been the biggest beneficiaries of that.
Well, it's been check down offense since John Gruden left.
Yeah,
just checking down to Jacobs and Renfrow, and now Foster Moreau.
Yeah,
every single play just about, and so they're getting ridiculous touches.
Yep.
But I hate the disrespect that they're giving Nick Chubb at only 17 points this week.
I mean, we'll see. Because sorry. I mean, he did go off last week for 30+ points.
And it's not for that reason. For me, it's just Pittsburgh isn't a great run defense. Chubb has had a great season, even though he's been injured. I would put him more in the 20 range. I'd put him more in the Naji range of 21.
Yeah, I would say. Here's what's shocking. In PPR, he's a running back 11. Yeah. And which the thing is, considering how the injuries were, and especially with how our draft went, you had to get Nick Chubb in the first round.
Yeah.
And so I think it's been a little bit of a disappointment considering how he ended the year last year. But yeah, he should be, honestly, I'll add the hint here. He may or may not be on a list by the end of this episode. But on the other side, Jonathan Taylor, your fantasy MVP this season. Oh boy, going up against Las Vegas, that could get interesting because he can spike in that game.
I think it's a trap game.
Well, yeah,
I don't think that's a trap game. There's the other running back I would like to say is the trap game in my opinion.
Naji, you say
yes.
Interesting.
And it is interesting that both sides of the running backs are playing each other's teams.
Oh,
so Nick Chubb
is
playing
funny.
Harris, and Taylor's playing Jacobs.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is honestly very cool. I did not even realize that till you guys mentioned it.
Yeah, thanks.
And I will say Naji Harris is going to be on one of my lists by the end of this episode. I think y'all can guess which one.
Drop him right now. Every league, every player, drop him.
Yeah. I can't believe that Naji. Wow. Do you guys want to know Naji Harris's ranking?
What?
RB4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a rookie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is insane. But yeah, that Najee Harris is the one that I am like, I don't know.
Yeah.
As far as
well, here's my scare. If I have Najee Harris, yes, the volume is going to be good, but it's how Ben's playing.
Are you concerned that they're going to overwork Harris? Because Ben was quoted saying that this was probably going to be his last year.
So, I mean, it's not just his last year. I think Cleveland's defense has actually been all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think they've actually played way better. Like, I was just checking the last game, and Najee Harris scored 27. Cleveland's defense is kind of tightened up, and they've actually been playing fast, playing very well. I just don't think Najee Harris is going to have the big game like everyone thinks.
Yeah,
I think it's I'm guessing 17 to 18, but I say, if you were to flip the projections of Nick Chubb and Najee Harris, that's how I think it's going to go.
Really? Okay.
Because I think Nick Chubb is going to do great in spite of Baker.
Yeah. Even though Baker tries hard to lose games, just like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, they are literally the same quarterback. So y'all want to hit receiver?
Yeah.
All right. The receivers here, we're not even going to talk about who's in the flex position yet. Let's just say this is a little bit more even than I thought it would be. Cooper Kupp, DK against T. Higgins and Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
See, I think the weak point there is MVS.
Yes.
Definitely. Yes.
Because I can see the game script going completely different.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more towards Lazard than it will be Scantling.
And I'm just thinking, with Minnesota, that's kind of how I feel it too.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I could see Green Bay, the weather. Have y'all checked the weather for the game?
Mm-mm.
It's going to be 2 degrees.
That's the way it is in the Buffalo game too.
Yeah, and I think it might just be AJ Dillon season the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, and just constantly running the ball.
So, question: he's got Devonte Smith on his bench. Is it a smart move that he put in MVS over Devonte Smith?
Okay, let me start off with this. Man, I see Devonte Smith. I don't know Devonte Smith personally. If I'm looking at, his flexes. Let's see who he has. Wow, I just realized how many running backs your dad has.
I know
he has all of the running backs.
Yeah, he has all. Yeah, if Thielen plays, I say take out MVS for Thielen.
Yes. Well, Thielen's on IR, so he's guaranteed out for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, he is guaranteed out. Okay.
He's out now.
I thought he was going to get activated soon, but I would even, I consider throwing Higbee in. Lazard. He picked up Braxton Berrios.
Mm-hmm.
For the memes, be a baller. Throwing Braxton Berrios.
Let's look at Braxton Berrios the last couple weeks. I understand.
Weeks.
Yeah,
he's been fairly good.
Yeah, look, New Orleans 20, Miami 12, Jacksonville 22. And on top of that, let's check his targets. So his targets 6. We only got 1 in Miami, but 10 against New Orleans. So he's one where it's I don't know who to trust there. Maybe I would go Lazard over MVS though. That to me, I think Aaron Rodgers trusts Lazard more than MVS.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I tried talking to him yesterday about it.
Yeah, because
he's set. He's set on MVS.
So now considering who are the other options in that, I'd go Devonte Smith.
Mm-hmm. But if Scantling gets that long touchdown, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
But can he? Will he? That's where I don't know.
Well, because he's been super inconsistent. He has had 3 games that were of note, and that was Baltimore week 15, against Minnesota in week 11 and in week 3 against San Francisco.
But really, if we're going to talk about the Ravens game, so Averett was the top corner. Tavon Young, for the most part, was the other corner. The Ravens didn't have a third corner.
Yeah.
So MVS was going to be the target there.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to pull up Devonte Smith, but the computer won't let me.
I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Even with the not great secondary in Minnesota, I still don't think he's going to get the looks.
You guys want to know a fun stat that I am actually shocked about Devonte Smith?
What?
Wide receiver 28 on the year.
Yeah.
That's way better than I remember.
He's been sneakily consistent. He's had a couple of off weeks, but he's had, 1, 2, 3.
He's at least getting 4+ targets a game.
He's had 5 weeks out of the year that he's over 19 points. And then a handful more that were over 10 points.
I would be worried about him, though, now that they have such an emphasis on the run game, even with Miles Sanders being injured.
But they are going up against a rival in Washington. So,
well, even then, is the game scripts usually change.
Yeah.
When it the games are never the same. So whatever happened within the first game, I always expect it to be different. So that's where I think I would start Devonte Smith, considering his options. I should have been trying to trade him receivers. What the heck?
Yeah.
I actually told him, I was like, you need to start trading as soon as this week is over. Start putting some of these running backs like Sony Michel, Devin Singletary, A.J. Dillon, Elijah Mitchell, all of them. Put some of them on the block and see what you get, like wide receiver-wise, because he needs it.
Yeah, he absolutely needs it.
Yeah. Because he's got his running backs figured out.
Oh, his running back, he has running back set for at least the next 5 years.
Yeah. And that's what I told him. You're set for at least 5 years with your running backs.
Quarterback, he's set for the next 15.
Your wide receivers are either getting old or they're second string. So.
Yeah. So besides the receivers, we talked about Scanling. We talk about, Higgins is just an automatic start at this point. Team Cooper Kupp over here against Baltimore. I can see him hitting 40, to be honest with you.
Quick note on the Cooper Kupp thing. I'm working on a jersey because of last week's episode. I'm still going to make good on that promise. But the only jerseys that are available for Cooper Kupp right now are $300. So we're going to wait.
Sounds like you're spending $300.
Yeah. It sounds like $300 right there.
A bet's a bet, dude. Come on.
I never said I was going to have it for this week. I just said that I was going to do it.
Well, someone's going to have to save up for it. Just saying.
I'm going to save up for it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to have my Cooper Kupp jersey for one of the off-season episodes. I'll wear it.
Before the beginning.
Before the next season, it will be done.
Yeah. We have that confirmed on record.
Recorded on the podcast.
Okay.
I'm on the record.
Let's talk about the big X factor, because I think this is going to make or break your championship, Ethan. More than anything, this player that I will now bring up will make or break it, and that's DK Metcalf. Because if he tanks, you're done. That's just how, unfortunately, Paul Traver has his team constructed. Is just,
if he tanks, you still have a chance. But
yeah, Cooper Kupp might save me. I
think the weaknesses on his team are in his flex. I don't like Mike Williams. I've told him multiple times I do not like Mike Williams. He has had some good games, but he's burned me every time I put him in my lineup. So
that's fair.
I don't like him. And Rex Burkhead, he did well last week. But he's facing San Francisco, and he plays for Houston.
Well, here's a big thing, and why I would avoid Rex Burkhead is the fact that the Chargers is basically this year has had the worst, the next to worst or the worst run defense in the league compared to the Jets. And so I think that was just a guarantee that they were Rex Burkhead was going to do really well. What threw everyone for a loop was Davis Mills going off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm kind of looking at your options here. The problem is that some of your top players are hurt. Like we're
yeah.
I mean, Jeff Wilson, we'll see. Nuke would have been nice. Yes, DPJ, maybe. Noah Fant, maybe. Depends on
Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is questionable.
Kareem Hunt, I
wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
They really? Basically – well, because if you look at some of the past games, it's been Nick Chubb and no one else.
Yeah.
Well, because he's been out.
So –
with either an injury or
the flex options really come down to Jordan Howard, Ogunbowale from Jacksonville, Ogunbowale, and then Mike Williams, Sexy Rexy.
I mean, Ogunbowale maybe because he's going to get reps, but that's really Jeff Wilson. If it's confirmed that Elijah Mitchell's out, I think Jeff Wilson is an automatic stash in that.
Yeah. I think I put him in for Mike Williams.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I would do it for Burkhead. And now, since you get the opportunity to be on here, when it comes to flexes or receivers, oh boy, you don't have much. I mean, Zay Jones, Rashad Perriman on this list. Golly. Yeah, there is not much when it comes to wide receivers. And even if
you have your best lineup in right now, I think.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's one more person if you want to take a look at it. They are a running back.
What game?
Derek Gore is available.
Derek Gore is available.
I mean, he got 17 last week.
I don't.
With Damian Williams in though, will that make a difference?
No, because Derek Gore was getting that with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in, and then we're also. Keyshawn Vaughn is down here.
Yeah.
I think there is Isaiah McKenzie that I could take a shot on, but I just don't know.
No, leave him.
I
think you have your best lineup in right now because I don't trust Mike Williams. That just throws me. But I think he's your best shot at a Hail Mary. Because if he goes off, he goes off.
I think my Hail Mary for you, Ethan, would be Keyshawn Vaughn, just because they are going up against the Jets. And with Rojo, they're going to want to hold on to Rojo because right now with Fournette, Rojo is the last how to put it here. Like it's kind of always been Fournette and Rojo, and then everyone else kind of falls off a cliff. And I think they're going to want to make sure Rojo doesn't get hurt or injured because they don't want that drop off going from, say, Fournette comes back and gets hurt, and then you're all the way down to Keyshawn Vaughn. I think with this game, you can see a lot of Keyshawn Vaughn at the end just because that's just how I think the game script could go.
So here's my thing with Rex against the 49ers defense. I think up front it's a decent enough matchup. But one thing statistically from the 49ers defense is they give up a decent amount of targets to running backs, and that's something that the Texans
Burkhead's good, so
is check down to Burkhead. I think he's going to have a decent matchup against them. I think he's a decent flex. I don't want to start the Jacksonville running back against New England.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's going to work for me because I think they're going to get behind because Trevor Lawrence can't throw the football and that run game's going to disappear. So I don't want to do that.
Well, we don't have a good game plan.
Jordan Howard, I just don't feel good about.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
He's touchdown.
And Kareem Hunt's the same way as how I feel about Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I feel like Burkhead would be your best option there. And then Mike Williams, I mean, he wouldn't be going up against Surtain. But, I mean, here's the thing. Like, the Chargers are kind of on the outside looking in. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is that they took that loss against Houston and are like, all right, listen, we got to right this ship. And we got to put together a good game. Get the ball to Mike Williams, get the ball to Keenan Allen, and let's win this football game. That's what I'm hoping. But, who knows? I mean, especially a Denver team with Drew Lock, I think that benefits Mike Williams' matchup because Drew Lock's going to, beat Drew Lock. I don't need to say anything else other than it's Drew Lock.
Mike Williams is the wide receiver 20? All right. Sorry, I got distracted with the fact that Mike Williams is wide receiver 20.
He's wide receiver 20 because, he had those 3 weeks where he had 22, and 36 points.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, 42 points. And then he goes and scores in single digits for 4 weeks. And it's another 22 points, 7 points, 20 points.
By far, he is the receiver that I don't know. I don't know how you are going to react to it because you're like the potential's there. You see, like he can be this big receiver, or he is so inconsistent that I am just not touching him again.
Yeah,
and it's the inconsistency that gets me. I
mean, we go back to it, consistency.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, he has burned my team more times than I can count. So, unfortunately,
and I understand that, and especially me, the consistency guy, but I kind of don't have another option.
No.
Yeah.
I think
unless Jeff Wilson is playing.
Yeah. I would say if Jeff Wilson is like the starter, you throw Jeff Wilson in faster than the internet can go.
Yeah.
Wait, do you put him in for Rexhead or
Rexhead?
Rexhead.
Or Mike Williams?
I'm going to be screaming that all morning long tomorrow.
Yeah. So do you put him in for Rexhead or Mike Williams?
Williams. I think Ethan gave a very good argument for Rexhead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're calling him Rexhead for now on. I hope you all understand that. Yeah. So.
And now we have the title of the podcast.
There you go.
Rexhead.
Rexhead. Rexhead saves the day in the flex.
Rexhead saves the chip.
Rexhead in the flex.
Rexhead flex.
Flex in the flex.
Rexhead flexing in the flex.
So the last position we have to talk about for this championship matchup is tight end. Travis Kelsey versus Gronk. Gronk is only projected 15. I could see him getting 2 touchdowns and calling it quits. So
it's the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets.
We don't know how it's going to go. I mean, it could be the Keyshawn Vaughn show.
Yeah,
it could be. And that's where, unfortunately, Ethan, you really don't have a better option. But Kelsey kind of helps fill the receiver deficiency.
Yeah, Kelsey is just a wide receiver by himself. So
I would be a little worried about Kelsey though against Cincinnati.
Well, I would say the big thing I would be worried about, it's his first game back from COVID.
Right.
So that is something to watch out for. We'll see what happens.
That's worked for some players. Like Nick Chubb came off of COVID and just absolutely destroyed. And same thing with Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
But
the 1 week I didn't start.
Sorry, but that's too soon. Cost him his playoff run.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Ain't that a bummer?
We loved. But anyways, it can really help or really hurt because there have been a lot of wide receivers specifically that have come off from COVID and not really done it. Like Keenan Allen, for example. Tyreek Hill, another good example. So I'm more worried about tight ends and wide receivers coming off COVID than I am about running backs.
Yeah.
Because running backs are
that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing with it is wide receivers are so timing and fluid and connection and bond.
Rhythm basically.
Quarterback. Whereas running backs are like, I just feel great now, so I'm going to run the ball hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Alrighty. So that is our championship preview. Now, Ethan, we're going to not let you ask who will win this matchup, well, because you're in it. But Ryan, you have some family to choose. Who will our first Dynasty Junkies champion be Paul Traver or Ethan McShane?
Okay. I'm sorry, E.
It's okay.
I got to go with the hot hand. My dad since week 4, because for those of you that haven't, been listening to every one of our podcasts, my dad has won since week 4, every single one of his games. And I was going through all of his stats and everything and kind of breaking it down. He has won on average every week since week 4 by 50 points. And that's his average. There was some in there that were 60. There were some in there that were 100. Some like last week where he beat Ashley by 96 points. So he's got a great team. It's stacked. And I think with the running backs that he's got in his flex, I think that will kind of edge out unless Cooper Kupp and DK Metcalf. Unless Kupp and Metcalf go off and absolutely have amazing games, I think that my dad will end up winning.
Just really quickly, think about how baller it would be if I won with Tyler Huntley, Josh Jacobs, Rex Burkhead, and Mike Williams. Just think about that. Think about that on a shirt.
So I could think of that on a shirt. So I'll have to put in my answer here. This matchup is not a blowout.
No.
I personally see this at just my gut is telling me the big guy. I just keep calling him big guy just because he's the dad of the group. But I think
during the whole draft he just went full pastor on us.
Yeah, he really did. All right, Pastor Paul.
That's why Jesus loves me more.
Yeah. I think Paul Traver's going to win by 8 points. That's just kind of my gut feeling right now.
I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, because I don't think Devin Singletary is going to do good. That's just my opinion there. And Sony Michel, not used that much outside of catching the ball. He's mainly just been running. And what's the one thing the Ravens are good at? Run defense.
Yeah.
But however, the GOAT that is Josh Allen, I think, is proving to be a very huge advantage, whether you are going to have Tyler Huntley or a hobbled 80% Lamar in. And on top of that, I really think Jonathan Taylor is the fantasy MVP. And I think that's going to carry him over the top. As much as Cooper Kupp has been the one thing taking Ethan all the way here, asking Cooper Kupp to basically kind of cover your needs with Rexhead, Mike Williams, DK potentially, that might be just a little bit too much to ask for. So
Rexhead. I believe even if you guys don't, all right? I will never stop.
What if Rexhead gets 30 points?
I
think
I honestly might cry. I will send you a video of me crying, screaming.
I'll send you a video.
I'll get a Rex Burkhead jersey too.
We're gonna put that on the YouTube channel. Honestly, but overall, I do think Paul Traver wins by 8 points. I think this will be the closest matchup all year. Now I'll go with the roundtable here before we do our last bus sleeper unlock of the season. How have y'all felt about this fantasy season as we are now coming to a close?
It's all right.
It's too short. It really is. Like, I know they extended the season. It just feels like it's too short. It's not enough football for me.
Yeah.
I feel great. I feel like I've put together a decent dynasty team. And I think I've got young players that are good or are going to be good for the next couple of years. And I'm excited to, just keep adding on every draft, keep adding more and more of these consistent dominating players. So, but I felt like this season was great. The whole thing with my dad threw me for a loop. I was not expecting that at all. That it's just crazy. So seeing him get all the way to the championship, that's just awesome. Even if he loses, I'm still so proud of him because I don't think he's ever won a fantasy championship. So yeah, this will be his first time.
Ethan, the man in the championship match.
Yeah.
How about you?
For the second year in a row?
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I really agree with Ryan. Like, it just hasn't been enough football for me. Like, I wish there was more. Like, football is something that brings all of us together. Like, I mean, it's something for me and Ryan to talk about, and obviously we're really close. Yeah. And then for me and Richter to talk about, and I messaged your dad a couple of days ago, and just kind of caught up with Paul before the matchup, and I was like, hey, I just wanted to know how much I love you, I'm thinking about you guys, and I'm really excited for our matchup this weekend, and tell Jordan and Lori that I said hi and everything because we don't.
My sister and my mom.
Yeah, his sister and mom. Sorry, but because we don't get to see him, and that's what I love about fantasy football, and all of our other friends, with Michaela and Alex, and this is also my day job. I coach football, and it's just what I love. And as far as my team, I got to build this team full of people that not everybody really believed in, and went to, because I mean, Lamar was we know he's going to be good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Josh Allen, he's not whatever, and by God, we're in the championship. And then Nick Chubb, he's not Kamara, he's not Jonathan Taylor, he's not Derrick Henry, he's not CMC, but by God, we're in the championship. Josh Jacobs, don't even try and pick him up. He's not fantasy relevant, but by God, we're in the championship. Cooper Kupp, he's not going to be as good as Robert Woods, but by God, we're in the championship, and he's the number one player in fantasy football. Yep. DK Metcalf, first half of the season hero. Second half of the season, we don't believe in him anymore. By God, we're in the championship. He scored me a touchdown in the semifinal matchup. Gronk, he's not relevant anymore as a tight end, and he's going to be overtaken by all these threats in Tampa Bay. By God, we're in the fantasy championship. Yeah. Sexy Rexy, nobody believes in him. Nobody thinks he's going to repeat of what he did last week. But by God, we're in the fantasy championship. Mike Williams, Mr. Inconsistent. Nobody thinks he's going to do anything. But by God, here we are in the fantasy football championship. I mean, at the start of the draft, I feel like I had a good team, but nobody thought I was going to do well down the stretch. And especially losing both games to Jacob, losing to Tyler to close out the season. And Tyler and me have always butt heads too in fantasy. We're always going at it, and Tyler's always getting the better of me. Yep. And for me to be here in the championship and to have beaten both of those guys to get into the championship, this has been such a fun season. This is what football is, what I love. Football is what brings us together. And this has been a really special fantasy football. Normally I play for fun, but this season has been special.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning of all of this, Dynasty, me and Josh really talked about what we wanted to do with, this Dynasty League. And it just felt right. The people that we had, the setup that we have, the scoring, all of that. We thought it was a good fit for our, the people that we had in our league. And it's been fun. it's been really fun just going through this whole process. And what's made it even more enjoyable is doing this podcast. You know, every week being able to sit down, talk matchups, talk all things fantasy football, and yeah, it's been awesome.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the biggest thing is. I mean, let's just start off with this. All started with Ryan being thrilled, posting on Facebook that he won in the fantasy football playoffs. Only then to call me a fantasy sage, and then I'm pretty sure either you, Ethan, answering this guy went 2-10. Which, first off, how dare you? And second
with all the love in my heart, Richter.
Yeah, with all the love in your heart. I feel that, Venom, all right? But I mean, going from there, going to, hey, do you want to start a dynasty league? To, hey, you want to do a podcast about it? And, hey, let's bring on Ethan for literally half the season. And
accidentally.
Not even accidentally. By the third or fourth time, we went. This podcast is so much more fun with Ethan.
Yeah,
to me, the most. All right, I will tell you without a doubt, the most fun I've had on this podcast was doing the draft order reveal.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was by far the funniest episode to me because it just became completely unscripted there was just something about the energy that I was like, all right, I love doing this podcast, like just continuing it and going on forward. That's now as far as my team, we could just skip that part, but but I will say though,
I think you have a good team for next year. You really.
I have a lot of questions I need to answer for myself, but you know what? What I love about it is, heck, like your dad, we were both 0-4. And then we both kind of clawed our way out of it, only for me to kind of go down at 6-8 and for him to continue. But that's kind of the fun of it, the fun of being able to find out who you're going with, to find out, oh wow, I got this steal or I got this person, and being able to kind of like ride the wave almost. And that's kind of how this season has felt for me, where you're just adjusting to the different changes, the COVID list, the injuries, the trades, but it's all been a wave that you're like, this is just fun. Yeah. Like you're at the top of the wave, you're about to crash down, but you're like, it's so much fun being up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as far as this season goes, it's been the craziest that I can remember.
Yes.
Usually past years,
a lot of ups and downs.
Usually in past years, you'll get someone who's like 12-2, 13-1, like someone who just wiped the floor with everybody. No, our top teams this year were 10-4, and that's something that's like I don't remember seeing someone with that many losses just like be the top seed, and it's been super chaotic but super enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean every matchup was a fist fight.
Every week you had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, heck, let's start off with this. All right, Ethan, who was my week 1 fantasy quarterback starter? And you cannot look it up.
Oh, it was Fitzmagic.
Yep. Yeah. Good job. So literally, I went from there to Jones to Wentz to Zach Wilson. Like,
hey, we all picked up Danny Dimes for a week to just see what would happen, and it didn't work for anyone.
No, we got pennies instead, and so
we got Danny.
Denny. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna repeat that, but but man, it has been such a blast this season. And even though I didn't make the playoffs, even though I have 2 playoff losses that will burn my soul for the rest of eternity, it has been such a blast, so much fun. So I cannot wait to see what happens. But I also, more importantly, can't wait to see what we're going to do during the off season. I also can't wait to see what's going to happen. So I think I just think that it's only going to be more fun from here.
Yeah. And speaking of that, for our listeners out there, we're going to be discussing some of our off-season podcasts and kind of taking a week break over this next week. So we're just going to be kind of developing those and seeing what we're going to be doing in the off season. And we'll probably be back at it here in about 2 weeks.
One more thing to say on our league, I think there's a lot of different fantasy football leagues that you can have. You can have leagues with people you don't know. You can have leagues where you talk a lot of crap. And then you can have leagues like ours.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think I love about our league is, as much as I like talking crap, because Ryan knows that better than anyone, I do love our league so much because it's all people who we just care about one another. You know, like, even though I really want to beat Tyler and like I'll talk crap to Tyler, at the end of the day, I still love Tyler with all of my heart.
Yeah.
And I want the best for Tyler and for his wife, Erica. And after the matchup to be like, hey, like, that was really fun. Like, you know, even though I lost in our first matchup.
That was really fun.
Yeah. You won. That was so much fun. Good job. Yeah. No, like, I mean, it is like that too. But like, you know, it's still just fun because, I mean, you beat me both times this year too, Josh. And that was still fun, even though, you know, we didn't necessarily like talk back and forth or whatever. And that's fun too. But I mean, having this league of people that you're just friends with and that you care about, and yeah, you can talk crap, but like, I mean, one of the most special things of this week was, you know, getting to talk to Paul and just be like, hey, like, you know, good luck this weekend, dude. I love you. I hope everything's going well. Just talk really quickly, and, you know, good luck with fantasy, something that we both love, and, you know, that can connect us because we don't get to talk that much. Because, I mean, he's a missionary in Germany, and I'm a full-time football coach in college, and it's just hard, but this league holds us together, you know?
Yeah, my dad's going to be staying up late watching the games tomorrow.
Oh, man.
He already told me, he's like,
oh, man.
The early game starts at 7.
Oh, man, I hope you got a guest speaker.
He's staying up all night on Sunday.
He is not sleeping. Man, I'll tell you, I think our league has been very fun. I don't think we've had any, like, I love leagues, especially where we all know each other, and on top of that, no quarrels whatsoever. Unfortunately, I've been in other leagues where that hasn't been the case, but this, I mean, we're all friends. It's all in good fun, especially when Ashley beat Ryan, and I'm just going to bring it up. Also, why is actually creating a trend of first-round upset every season?
Every season. Every stinking season.
So,
oh, my God.
But I'll tell you, this season has been a blast.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see what next year turns out.
Yeah.
Be ready for crazy off-season moves.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a lot of like off-season stuff, just reviewing this last year, looking at, you know, some of the new stuff going on throughout the league. Ethan's over there turning on the light.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got a lot of backlight.
Yeah, sorry, we're snowed. We're snowed out here in Colorado.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to be going over a lot of that in the off season, and we're hoping to do quite a few podcasts during the off season, just trying to fill up some of our schedule. But we're definitely not going to be doing it weekly for the next couple of months.
Yeah, not.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, for everyone who is not part of our league and has taken the time to listen, we do thank you for listening to us. I mean, a lot of it this season has been Ryan and I, and now Ryan, Ethan, and I trying to kind of figure it out, trying to see what goes on. And so we are very appreciative of the people listening to us and only seeing what we can do. And whoever is in the championship, and I will probably repeat this, may the fantasy gods be in your favor. But as of right now, we have one more segment we got to do. Our bus, sleeper, and locks of the week. But
we got to do.
We are twisting it up this time because we are in the championship match. So we are going to use our championship rosters from Paul and from Ethan. And we're going to tell you our bus, sleeper, and lock. So, Co-Commissioner Ryan.
Let's do one from each team. Or no. Like, whenever we do one bust, we have to do one bust for me.
I like it. So, Ryan, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Alrighty, Co-Commish Ryan.
Bust on Ethan's side, Mike Williams. Bust on Paul's side, MVS. I don't think it will do as well against Minnesota.
In case people don't know who MVS is, that's Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah. No, yeah. Marquez Voldemort-Scantling.
Voldemort-Scantling.
Scantling.
Alrighty, Ethan, you're in the championship. Who are the busts that you're looking
at? So for my team,
none.
No, I'm really worried about Gronk busting again. So I think it's a toss-up between Mike and Gronk as far as bust goes. I think Mike is probably more likely to bust than Gronk, but I'm most worried about Gronk busting. For Paul's team, I think the most surprising bust is going to be Sony Michel.
I'm right in between the middle, y'all. My bust for Paul is Sony Michel. My bust for you, Ethan, is Mike Williams.
There you go.
Alrighty, let's go with the sleepers. Ryan, who are your sleepers this week?
I think, it's in between Devin Singletary and T. Higgins for me. Against Casey, T. Higgins against Casey's offense, he's sharing the snaps with, well, not sharing the snaps, sharing playing time with Chase. And
Boyd.
And Boyd,
Tyler
but
Boyd.
It depends on, I don't know. It just depends on who Burrow picks to favor that game. So it's just, he could do really well. He could do terribly. And Devin Singletary, Buffalo, with the exception of the past couple of weeks, has had pretty much abandoned their running game. So against Atlanta, it really just depends on their game script. He could, against that Atlanta defense, it's kind of squishy.
Yeah.
You know, Devin Singletary could run all over him. But then again, he could pull a Devin Singletary and do nothing. So I think he is a sleeper. It just depends on script. So
yeah, what I'll say about Singletary is the Falcons have had a surprisingly decent run defense.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that running lanes have really opened up against Atlanta is when they're getting killed in the pass game, which is like every week. So that matchup will be interesting. My sleeper for Paul's team, though, it's not Singletary.
I haven't done your side yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Then go.
My sleeper for Ethan's team is Burkhead.
Sexy Rexy!
Rexhead.
Rexhead.
He could end up going off. Who knows? He did it last week, and he wasn't supposed to. So
this is true. Yeah, the Chargers were supposed to completely stun him, and they didn't. But we'll see.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry. Now to my sleepers.
Yeah,
it is not.
Ethan, now you're sleepers.
Yes. Yeah. Just jumped the gun a little early. It was just like a little preface, you know. It's not Devin Singletary. My sleeper is T. Higgins for him. I think T. Higgins is gonna make or break Paul winning. Like last week, going off, because kind of in last week's matchup, what I was looking at is, can I beat this team in the championship game?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that surprised me the most was T. Higgins. So if T. Higgins puts on another performance like he did last week, he's the sleeper that's going to make or break Paul's team. Sleeper for my team is DK. I think if DK can get on the same page as Russell Wilson and score a touchdown, I think he'll help my chances of winning.
I like both of those choices. My sleeper, let's start with Ethan's. It's DK, 100%. I think I think in order for you to win, I think DK is going to have to go off. And honestly, I really think that's a possibility, given that they're going up against Detroit. And we're going to see what happens with Seattle within the upcoming weeks. But make no mistake, I think they have to get DK rolling for them to even win this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Detroit is sneaky good.
Yeah, they are sneaky good. That's why you better start force feeding the ball to DK. Now, my sleeper on the other side, Darrell Williams. I will tell you right now, I would take Michelle or Devin Singletary out and put in Darrell Williams. Just because.
That's what I said.
Right? Here's the thing. Cincinnati has to deal with a fully healthy Kansas City team. So you got to figure out what you're going to do with Travis Kelsey. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with Tyreek Hill. Pringle just destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers out of nowhere. And then on top of that, Josh Gordon, CEH out, meaning there's more opportunities between Derek Gore and Darrell Williams. I think Darrell Williams, given the opportunity, has been nothing short of fantastic. And so I think that one, if he has the game like I think he will, and if the good man, Pastor Paul, puts him in, I think it might be game over. But now,
Mr. Paul.
in the most obvious category, the locks. Ryan, who are your locks?
You already know my locks. For the two best fantasy players in this 2021 season, Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor. Those are just automatic locks. No matter where, no matter what you're doing, you just plug those guys in.
Ethan?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say something different. I think, well, from the beginning that I've come on the show, every single week my lock has been the same player, and that is Cooper Kupp. So I'm not changing that for my team. But for Paul's team, I think the lock, without a question, is the Miami Dolphins defense. And that is an absolute joke. I'm kidding. It's obviously
I was about to say.
It's obviously Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, we rescind your invitation to be on my
Yeah, you're not.
I don't agree with that.
Pick up the Miami Dolphins defense now. You heard it here first. No, it's Jonathan Taylor. He's going to be the MVP of the NFL. He's not the MVP of fantasy because Cooper Kupp has scored more points than him and done more things than Jonathan Taylor. But Jonathan Taylor will be the MVP of the NFL.
Very well. When it comes to no surprise, when you're going against fantasy players 1 and 2 on the year, those are going to be the locks. And really, I think if there's a massive swing in points from one direction to the other, that could decide the matchup. So Cooper Kupp and JT, we'll see what happens. But holy crap, guys, will be the end of the 2021 fantasy season as we know it. Again, everyone who has listened to us that is not even in the league, we do thank you for taking the time and listening to Three Stooges figure out podcasting for the first time. We do thank you for all of our league members. So let's start them off. Ryan, Ethan, Josh, Ashley, Philip, Paul, Tyler, Jacob, and Jesselyn Duran, and Philip, and Michaela and Alex out. We do thank y'all for making this season one of the most enjoyable in a very long time. To Paul and to Ethan, may the fantasy gods be in your favor. And for everyone else, we will see y'all soon. Have a great week and championship week, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
Yes, and Happy New Year.